Fire this junky jurist. These were the fiery words of Elon Musk, aimed squarely at Judge John Bates. The tech mogul's outburst, delivered via his preferred platform, sent shockwaves through the legal and political landscape. Musk, never one to shy away from controversy, was reacting to a ruling that cut to the heart of a deeply divisive issue: gender identity. The judge's decision to reinstate certain government web pages, deemed by the Trump administration as promoting gender ideology, ignited a firestorm of debate. Musk, a self-proclaimed champion of free speech, saw the ruling as an overreach of judicial authority. His scathing critique, delivered with characteristic bluntness, thrust the issue into the national spotlight. Musk's words, "Junky Jurist," dripped with disdain. They painted a picture of a judge unfit for the bench, a judge whose decisions were driven by ideology rather than law. The phrase, echoing through the halls of social media, quickly became a rallying cry for those who shared Musk's outrage. It was a stark reminder of the power of words, particularly when wielded by someone of Musk's stature. His tweet, retweeted thousands of times within minutes, served as a digital call to arms, mobilizing his followers to denounce the judge and his decision. The target of Musk's ire, Judge John Bates, was no stranger to controversy. A respected jurist with a long and distinguished career, Bates had earned a reputation for his meticulous legal reasoning and unwavering commitment to the Constitution. However, his latest ruling had thrust him into the center of a political and cultural firestorm. His decision, seen by some as a victory for LGBTQ+ rights, was condemned by others as an assault on traditional values. Bates, once a relatively obscure figure in the legal world, was now a household name, his every word scrutinized and debated. The clash between Musk and Bates was more than just a war of words. It was a microcosm of a larger battle raging across America, a battle over the role of the judiciary, the limits of executive power, and the very definition of gender itself. Musk's tweet, with its incendiary language and implicit threat, raised profound questions about the balance of power in a democracy. Was it appropriate for a private citizen, even one as influential as Musk, to publicly attack a sitting judge? And what were the implications for the rule of law when such attacks went unchecked? To understand the roots of this controversy, we must rewind to the early days of the Trump administration. On his first day in office, President Trump signed an executive order that sent shockwaves through the LGBTQ+ community. This order, rooted in a conservative ideology that viewed gender as binary and immutable, directed government agencies to remove any materials deemed to be promoting gender ideology. The order, met with immediate backlash from civil rights groups and LGBTQ+ advocates, signaled a sharp departure from the Obama administration's stance on LGBTQ+ rights. The executive order, couched in the language of religious freedom and parental rights, was seen by many as a thinly veiled attempt to erase transgender and non-binary identities from the public sphere. It directed government agencies to interpret the terms sex and gender in a narrow and exclusionary manner, effectively denying the existence of transgender and non-binary individuals. This directive had far-reaching consequences, impacting everything from healthcare to education to employment. One of the most immediate and visible impacts of the executive order was the removal of information about LGBTQ+ health and resources from government websites. Websites belonging to the Department of Health and Human Services, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the Food and Drug Administration were scrubbed of any mention of transgender or non-binary identities. Information about LGBTQ+ health disparities, sexual health resources, and gender-affirming care vanished from these websites, leaving many LGBTQ+ individuals feeling invisible and vulnerable. The removal of this information had a chilling effect on LGBTQ+ individuals seeking healthcare and support. Transgender and non-binary individuals, already facing significant barriers to accessing quality healthcare, found themselves navigating a system that seemed to deny their very existence. The Trump administration's actions sent a clear message. LGBTQ+ people were not welcome, their health and well-being were not a priority. Years later, the battle over these web pages landed in Judge John Bates's courtroom. Doctors for America, a nonprofit organization dedicated to improving the health of all Americans, filed a lawsuit challenging the legality of the Trump administration's actions. They argued that the removal of these web pages violated the First Amendment rights of healthcare providers and researchers, and hindered their ability to provide accurate and up-to-date medical information to their patients. Judge Bates, after carefully considering the arguments presented by both sides, issued a ruling that sent shockwaves through the legal and political landscape. In a strongly worded decision, Bates declared the Trump administration's removal of the web pages to be unlawful. He found that the government had failed to provide a legitimate reason for removing the information, and that the removal violated the First Amendment rights of healthcare providers and researchers. Bates's ruling was a significant victory for LGBTQ+ advocates and allies. It sent a clear message that the government could not simply erase LGBTQ+ people from the public sphere. The ruling also had important implications for the freedom of information and the role of the government in providing accurate and unbiased health information. The reinstatement of the web pages was seen by many as a step towards restoring trust between the government and the LGBTQ+ community. However, the ruling also highlighted the fragility of LGBTQ+ rights and the constant threat of rollback. The battle over these web pages was just one front in a much larger struggle for equality and recognition. Section 4. A storm of reactions from outrage to applause. A precedent is set, marking a significant moment in history. This event will be remembered for years to come. The nation stands divided, with opinions clashing on all sides. The debate continues, shaping the future discourse.